Hello everyone. So far we have seen what is theory of sedimentation, hydrometer method, the relationship between the percentage finer and the corrected hydrometer reading. Okay, and we have also derived that same equation, and we have studied what are the limitations of sedimentation analysis. So in today's lecture we are going to see what are the uses of particle size distribution curve and what is relative density. Okay, so these two terms or these two parts we are going to study. So the very first part is use of particle size distribution curve, or we can say as a gradation curve. Particle size distribution curve is nothing but a gradation curve. So before that, what is particle size distribution curve? Actually we have studied this, we have gone through this, but we will just revise. Okay, so the particle size distribution curve is nothing but a plot or a graph between the percentage finer and the particle size. Okay, the particle size is on x-axis and percentage finer is on y-axis. As we know, the particles that are present within the soil mass may have infinite number of the particle sizes. Okay, so as we know, we have sieves that are available from 80 mm to 75 micron. Okay, so that vast variation is there. Okay, so as to accommodate this vast variation on this x-axis, and so as to get the straight line while we plot this graph, we take this x-axis scale as a log scale. Okay, so because of that the analysis becomes easy. Okay, as we know, the particle size is nothing but the index property of a coarse grain soil. We have studied what are the index properties. Okay, in case of a fine grain soil, Atterberg's limits and consistency, and in case of a coarse grain soil, particle size and relative density. These two are the index properties. Basically these are used for the classification of a soil, and this classified groups of the soil indicates somewhat engineering properties. Okay, so that's known to us. So depending on this particle size distribution curve for particular soil, we will derive two parameters. Okay, that are nothing but the coefficient of uniformity and coefficient of curvature. When we say coefficient of uniformity, it indicates within the soil mass what is the uniformity of the soil particles. It means what is the same size of the soil particles within the soil mass. Okay, that is indicated by coefficient of uniformity. And when we say coefficient of curvature is nothing but it gives the nature of the curve that we have plotted. Okay, so on these two factors, that is coefficient of uniformity and coefficient of curvature, we will classify the coarse grain soil that we will study in latter part. Okay, but these are the two parameters that are used for classification of a soil or classification of coarse grain soil. Okay, that's the basic use. As you see this A curve, okay, on this plot, then you will see that there are humps like this. Okay, so it indicates that the sum of the soil particle or some of the sizes of the soil particle are missing within the soil mass. Then after that, secondly, if you see this B curve, it is covering all particle sizes and it is also covering all percentage finer. Okay, so it indicates that all the soil particle sizes are present within the soil mass. Okay, so we can say it as a well graded. Why well graded? Because all the gradings of sizes of the particle of the soil are present within the soil mass. So that's why it is called as a well graded. If you consider this C, okay, it is nothing but nearly a vertical line. Okay, so it indicates that only some particle sizes are present and it is covering all y-axis. That percentage finer, it is all of the range it is covered. Okay, so it indicates that within the soil mass only 2 to 3 range or some range of the soil size particle is present. Okay, so the soil is uniform. Okay, that is indicated by this C curve. So this is how, depending on this particle size distribution curve, we can identify what type of a soil it is. As you see this a particle size distribution curve, you will see that there are humps. These humps indicate that some sizes of the soil particles are missing. So such a soil is considered as a skip graded or ill graded. Another curve, if we consider B, it is covering all particle size range and it is also covering all percentage finer. Okay, so it indicates that the soil is well graded. It means that all the sizes of the soil particle are present within the soil mass. If you look at this particle size distribution curve A, you will see that there are number of humps. This is the first hump, second, third, fourth, fifth, like this. This hump indicates that some of the particle sizes are absent within the soil mass. Another curve, that is nothing but B. You will see that this curve is covering all the particle sizes and all percentage finer. Definitely it is going to cover. So it indicates that all the particle sizes are present within the soil mass. So such a soil can be termed as well graded soil. The soil which is represented by A is a skip graded, or we can say it as ill graded. The soil represented by B is a well graded soil, and if we consider curve like C, it is nearly a vertical line. So some of the particle sizes are covered by this plot. Definitely it is covering all percentage finer, but it is covering only small part of this X line, or we can say particle size. So it indicates that within the soil mass only some of the particle sizes are present. So such a soil can be considered as a uniformly graded soil. So by just looking at the graph or just by looking at this plot, we can identify what type of a soil it is. We can have idea that what kind of a particle size distribution is within the certain soil mass. By just looking at this curve, we can identify it. If you want to design a filter in case of a earthen dam, if you want to have a soil side stabilization, then these all the curves will be helpful to you. If the soil is subjected to frost heave, that can be identified by looking at this particle size distribution curve. As we know, the compressibility will be depending on the particle size. If all the particle sizes are present, it means that if the soil is well graded, the number of voids will be lesser. So such a soil will be less compressible as compared to uniformly graded soil or skip graded or gap graded soil. Okay, so compressibility, that can be also indicated by this curve. Density of a soil mass, that can be also indicated by this curve. Another most important thing is that shear strength. The shear strength of the soil also depends on particle size distribution curve. A well graded soil will have more shear strength as compared to the uniformly graded soil and skip or gap graded soil. The most important thing, that is nothing but the permeability of a soil, that is also indicated by this particle size distribution curve. So as we know, the coefficient of permeability, that is K, can be found out by this equation, C multiplied by D10 square in bracket E cube divided by 1 plus C multiplied by gamma W by mu. D10 is nothing but the particle size for which the percentage finer is 10%. So in case of a curve B, this particle size will represent D10. So D10 is also called as the effective size because the permeability of a soil will be depending on this. So it is considered as a effective size. Just by looking at the particle size distribution curve, we can have idea about how the soil is formed. Example, in case of a skip graded soil, as the some sizes are absent, we can say that, or we can conclude that this soil is deposited by two different agencies. It means that some of the soil is deposited by wind or some of the soil is deposited by water. Okay, so the mode of a deposition is different in case of a skip graded soil. By looking at this graph, we can say that the soil is deposited by the two modes. In case of a residual soil, if it is at initial stages, then the particle size distribution curve will be wavy. Okay, but as the duration passes, as the time passes, and if we did the same particle size distribution analysis for that soil, then you will get a smooth curve. Okay, so this is how if the curve is wavy, then we can say that it is at the initial stages, we can identify the age. But if the curve is smooth, then it indicates that some time has passed, okay, and we can identify the age of that particular soil. Okay, so this is all about the uses of this particle size distribution curve. Now we will see what is relative density. Relative density is indicated by symbol dr, or density index is indicated by the symbol id. Both are same. The relative density is given by Emax minus E divided by Emax minus E minimum. Emax is nothing but the void ratio in the loosest state. E minimum is the void ratio in the densest state, and E is nothing but the void ratio in the natural state. The relative density indicates what is the denseness of a soil. If we consider the void ratio, that also indicates denseness. But if the two soils are there, or if the two sands are there, if two soils are there and if they have same void ratio, then their degree of denseness may be different, and their behavior under the identical loading can be different. But when we consider the density index, if the two soils are having same density index, then their behavior will be identical. Okay, so it is guaranteed based on this density index or relative density. So that's why this becomes important index property in case of a coarse grain soil. So depending on this relative density, we can identify the state of a soil. If the density index or relative density is lesser than 50, we can say the soil is very loose. 15 to 35, it is loose. 35 to 65, it is medium dense. 65 to 85, it is dense, and from 85 to 100%, it is very dense. Okay, so just like this, we can identify the state of a soil. If the soil is very dense, okay, then it indicates that it can take more load and there will be lesser settlement. So the relative density is indicative of its behavior of that soil. Okay, so that's all about this relative density. The next part is soil classification. As we started this geotechnical engineering, we have studied what are the basic definitions and the relationships. Then after that, we have studied the plasticity characteristic of soil. That is nothing but the index properties of fine grained soil, that are Atterberg limits and consistency. So these are the index properties which are indicative of engineering properties. Okay, so that we have studied. Then after that, we have studied what is particle size distribution curve and what is relative density. These are the index properties of a coarse grained soil. The index properties are indicative of engineering properties, so it is known to us. So the soil classification is based on the index properties of a soil. So whatever we have learned from the plasticity characteristic, still the last part, that is the relative density, okay, that forms the basis of this soil classification. So if we are very clear with that information, then we can easily classify this soil. As far as your syllabus is concerned, we are supposed to learn only Indian standard classification system, that is given in IS 1498-1970. So how this soil classification is made? So initially the soil is classified in three parts. The first is a coarse grain soil, second one is a fine grain soil, and third one is a peat, that is nothing but the indicated by the symbol PT. In case of a coarse grain soil, how we can say the soil is a coarse grain? Suppose you have having certain soil mass and you have sieved it through the 75 micron sieve. If equal to 50% or more than 50% of a soil is retained on the 75 micron sieve, then it can be termed as a coarse grain soil. If more than 50% of a soil is passing through this 75 micron sieve, then it can be termed as fine grain soil. And some of the soils are there which may have higher organic content, or their particles of that soil may contain vegetative decomposition. Okay, so such a soil are organic soil and they are classified as peat and indicated by the symbol PT. So this is the very first stage of the classification as per IS 1498-1970. Okay, so these two groups, that is fine grain soil and coarse grain soil, okay, they have their further groups. Okay, they are subdivided into the groups. So now we will find out what is the further classification of this coarse grained soil. Then we will study fine grained soils. Okay, so now we will see what is the classification of these coarse grained soils. Before classifying this coarse grained soil, first of all we will see how the fine grained soils are classified. While classifying the coarse grained soil, we need some basic inputs from the plasticity chart that helps us in classifying the coarse grained soil. And this plasticity chart forms the basis of fine grained soil classification. So first of all, we will see how the fine grained soils are classified depending on this plasticity chart, and then we will see how the coarse grained soils are classified. So I will draw a plasticity chart here. On x-axis there is a liquid limit, and on y-axis there is a plasticity index. Okay. The compressibility of a soil is generally indicated by the liquid limit. Okay, so these were the uses of the consistency limits. Okay, compressibility is indicated by the liquid limit. The soil which are having liquid limit less than 35 are low compressible. Okay, so this will form the one boundary. When the liquid limit is between 35 to 50, such a soil are considered as intermediate compressible. And the soil which are having liquid limit more than 50, that are considered as highly compressible soils. So these are the various boundaries. There is another boundary, okay, that also helps to classify the soil. That is nothing but the A line, and it is drawn like this. And the equation of this A line is nothing but (0.73 WL minus 20). Okay, so that forms the equation of a line. Okay. So when the liquid limit is less than 35%, such a soil is considered as a low compressible soil, and the soil above A line is generally clay. So this is low compressible clay. L indicates low compressibility and C indicate clay. This is Ci, that is intermediate compressible clay, and this is CH, that is highly compressible clay. The soil in this zone, that is zone of high compressibility, can be MH or OH. Okay. H indicates high compressibility and M indicates silt. Okay, so it is highly compressible inorganic silt. When we say OH, it is highly compressible organic soil. Just like that in this zone also, that is Mi or Y. Here Ml or OL. In this region there is also one soil. Okay, this is from 4 to 7, and it is classified as with the dual symbol, that is Cl-Ml. So this is how the soils are classified. So in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so in total there are 10 soils in case of a fine grained soil. Okay, depending on their compressibility and depending on whether it is a clay or whether it is inorganic silt or organic soil. So now the question arises, when the soil is within this region, how to differentiate between this MH or OH? Okay, that is highly compressible inorganic silt and highly compressible organic soil. Okay, so the organic soils are generally bad in odor, their color is different, okay, somewhat dark in color. Okay, so like that we can identify. And another most important point is that liquid limit. So once we have tested the liquid limit, then again we have to oven dry that soil, and then again we have to test its liquid limit. If the liquid limit after oven drying is lesser than the 3/4 of its original liquid limit before oven drying, then that soil can be considered as organic soil. Okay, so this is how we differentiate between organic silt and inorganic silt and organic soil. Okay, so this is how we classify the fine grained soil. So suppose for a certain soil we have the liquid limit as a 40. Okay, so this is the liquid limit, we got 40, and we have the plasticity index as suppose 35, like this. Okay, so when I travel like this and like this, it comes in the group of CI. So that soil will be intermediate compressible clay or intermediate plasticity clay. Okay, like this we can classify the soil. So sometimes what happens, we may got point like this depending on the liquid limit and depending on the plasticity index. So we can classify this soil as a CL/CI. Okay, so dual symbol can be given like this. In this case, when the plasticity index between 4 and 7 and liquid limit is within this range, then it can be classified as CL and CL-ML. So this is how the fine grained soils are classified. Now we will see how the coarse grained soils are classified. After taking this sample, when we sieve it to the 4.75 mm sieve, if more than 50% of a soil, if it is retaining on that sieve, then that can be termed as gravel, and when more than the 50% of a soil is passing through it, then that can be termed as a sand. Okay, so this gravel is further subdivided and that sand is also further subdivided. So now we will see how the gravels are subdivided. So gravel basically divided in 4 parts, that is GW, GP, GM and GC. So W represent well graded and G represent gravel. So it is well graded gravel. P represent poorly graded and G represent gravel. So it is poorly graded gravel. M represent silt, as I have said in a classification of fine grained soil. So it is silty gravel, and C represent clay, so it is clayey gravel. The next part is how to classify this or how to identify this. When the percentage of fines is smaller than 5%, it can be either well graded gravel or poorly graded gravel. But when coefficient of uniformity is more than 4 and coefficient of curvature is between 3 and 1, then it can be termed as well graded gravel. But when these criteria are not met, then we can classify it is poorly graded gravel, provided the percentage of a fines is smaller than 5%. The next part is about the classification of GM and GC. When the percentage of a fines is more than 12%, then it can be classified as either GM or either GC. But when to classify it as a GM? When the limits, that is Atterberg limits, are below A line. So this is the A line. When the Atterberg limits are below this A line, or IP is smaller than 4. So IP is in this area, okay, and it is below this A line, okay, then it can be classified as silty gravel. Out of these two, if any criteria met, because it is said as a OR, okay, so then it can be classified as a silty gravel. When we say it as a clayey gravel, when the limits are above A line, okay, when the limits are above A line, this part is nothing but of a clay, so it can be termed as a clayey gravel. Our IP is greater than 7. When IP is more than 7, then also it can be termed as a clayey gravel, provided the percentage of a fines is more than 12%. Okay. But in some cases, what happens when the percentage of fines is more than 12% and limits are above A line and IP is between 4 and 7. Okay. In such a case, we will give the dual symbol. Both the symbol will be given like GM and GC. But it is not always possible that percentage of fines is smaller than 5% and percentage of a fines is more than 12%. The percentage of a fine can be within the range of 5 or 12. Okay, in such a cases, the soil can be classified with a dual symbol group. Okay, just like this, GP and GM. Also, okay, so this is GP and GM. Okay, so depending on this which criteria are met, we can classify the soil. Okay, so this is all about this classification of a gravel. Okay, just like this, the sands are also classified. Okay, now we will see how the sands are classified. While classifying the sand, there is not much difference as compared to the classification of gravel, but we have to identify the sand. When we say it is a sand, that when the more than 50% of a fraction of a soil is passing through the 4.75 mm ISU, then it can be termed as a sand. Okay, all the other criteria for classification of this sand are as same as the gravel. Only one criteria is changed, that is about this well graded sand. When the coefficient of uniformity is greater than 6 and coefficient of curvature is within the range of 3 and 1, then it is termed as a well graded sand. Okay, so that's the only difference. Otherwise, all of the classifications are same. Okay, instead of a G, we have to just replace it by sand. Okay, so that gives the classification of this sand. So that's all for today. In the next lecture, we will see the numericals based on this chapter. So we have completed the theoretical part related to this chapter, that is nothing but this soil classification. So thank you so much.